This guy's a huge fan of Dan Patrick. No, he isn't. And the Danettes. Never heard of him. It's Kevin Nealon.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's all about. Yeah. There you go, Kevin. How does that feel?
Good. Has anyone ever sat on the microphone?
You almost did.
I almost did,
You
yeah.
almost did.
It felt, and I'm looking at the camera. Chair's a little bit low for me, but it's not bad.
And if you move around, it makes a weird sound. That's not leather.
And it's not all leather, that sound is.
Do you remember the first big talk show you did?
The first big one was probably The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
How nervous?
Well, I will tell you, as a stand-up comic, that's like that's the epitome of doing stand-up. You know, is getting on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. It's like passing your bar exam as a lawyer. I was so nervous, Dan, that when I came out, when the audience was applauding, totally forgot my act. I couldn't remember like my first line. I'm standing, and I'm hoping they're going to keep applauding for the next 10 minutes. You know.
Do you remember any of the jokes?
Oh, yeah. I remember a lot of it. But I tell you, when I smiled on the show, I was so nervous. I had cotton mouth. I was so dry that my top lip stuck like that. And I didn't want to lick it because people would know that I was nervous, you know? So I tried to adjust by bringing the lower lip up. What I did was I did a thing called Choices. Like, would you rather... would you rather be buried up to your neck in dirt and have somebody paint your head like a soccer ball and have some Brazilian kids start hanging around? Or would you rather, oh gosh, I don't know, let's say get your finger slammed in a car door and then have the guy drive away through a car wash? And then, I'd say, car wash? Yeah, me too. I'm not a fan of soccer. I don't like soccer, you know.
And then how many times do you sneak a peek at Carson to see if he's laughing?
Never. But you're listening through this year. You know, it's totally focused on Carson, the whole time.
And you could tell his laugh?
Oh, yeah. Because I've been watching this show for years, you know. And in fact, when I first moved to Los Angeles and I wanted to be a stand-up, I would go to the Tonight Show in Burbank. And I knew that they gave everybody 2 tickets. And usually somebody wouldn't show up. So I would go there just about every day. And I go up and down the line very sympathetically. And I go, would anybody have an extra ticket? Would anybody have? And I'd always get a ticket. And I'd go in and I'd see so many different... I knew exactly how that show worked. I knew that, the producers came out. They did the same jokes. They warmed up the audience. And the band played. And so now I'm standing behind the curtain. And I'm here. I don't know, 8 years later, ready to do it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Seton did the introduction there, Mr. Subliminal. How often does that come up when in regular conversation that people will bring up that character?
Not so much anymore. It's either that or Hans and Franz,
Yeah.
But it's funny because 20 years later, people still remember it and they still like it.
But it works, though. It works for everybody because you're sort of saying it without thought bubbles. What you're saying is your thought bubbles, but you're just sort of giving it a low-key
I've been doing it to you for the last 5 minutes. You don't even know it.
We didn't have our timing right. We tried to do it before the show to each other. And we just didn't have the timing down.
I did it to Genevieve in the back.
You did?
Oh, it worked great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I want to know what you're whispering to her. But we did try. We didn't have the timing down. Paulie tried it.
Yeah,
decent.
We wrote our little skit, and everything is timing. We had Jerry Seinfeld on the show a couple years ago. He said, "Speak loud, speak clearly. If you lose a joke," and it was like a great show today. Not you, Fritzy. And like what we did the first time we ran through it, nobody thought it was funny, and the second time it got better.
Yeah, it takes a little practice. That was the first sketch I did on Saturday Night Live. And I remember it's kind of like having 2 conversations at once. And here I am on a live TV show, Saturday Night Live, and we're away at commercial, coming back like in 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. And I'm trying to remember it all. And Lorne Michaels, the producer, puts his hand on my shoulder. And he goes, "Are you sure this is what you want?"
But is it good to be nervous?
They say it is, although, with my stand-up, I haven't been nervous in a long time. And but they say it's good to have a little nervousness, to give you that edge. But I will tell you that I did this Eddie Murphy Mark Twain Prize Award at the Kennedy Center a couple weeks ago. And it was the first time I was nervous in a long time. Not nervous where it affected my performance, of course. But, I was like really thinking about it and kind of focused, like a dog is when you put him up on a high, pole or something. You're always looking around.
Who's the funniest guy that when you're around? Because comedians, I don't know if you try to one up each other, but is there one guy that you just off air is the funniest?
Well, I think I know a lot of comedians, and they're all pretty funny. Gary Shandling's very funny. Adam Sandler, offstage funny.
See, I think Spade is
I was
the
gonna just say
funniest
Spade.
out of that whole group, but not the most successful. But he's the funniest off camera.
Right, and not likable. No, he's very likable. All these guys are funny once you hang out and you're loose with them, and you kind of you get to know them a little bit.
But you have to prove yourself a little bit.
I don't think anymore with them.
Did you ever feel like, all right, I got to?
Yeah, I think when you're around peers, that's the thing with stand-up comedy. I think when you're doing stand-up in town, and there's other comics at the club, you're always you're more concerned about impressing your peers than the audience. You'd rather not get laughs from the audience and impress your peers, at least for me, I guess.
Well, that's like writers will write for other writers. They want to impress another writer. So I didn't know if that's what comedians are doing, that if Louis C.K. is laughing at my joke, I don't care what anybody in the front row is doing.
Usually if another comic's laughing at you, you're bombing.
Really?
Sometimes, yeah.
Have you ever gone up, like Louis C.K. will just go up and say, I'm going to scrap what I was going to do, and I'm going to try to invent. If that's true that you really don't have an act, you go up there and I'm going to invent something new just to see how it feels.
I tried that when I first started out doing stand-up, because I was getting late night spots. And I thought, my prepared material's not going to really work that well. It doesn't work well with a 10 o'clock crowd. It's not going to work well with a 1:30 crowd.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm going to go up like Lenny Bruce and just kind of riff, stream of consciousness. And I just couldn't think of anything. Like I would start off saying, man, I'm so sick and tired of, and the audience would just naturally filling in because they were trying to help me, donuts. I'm so sick and tired of donuts. And whatever they said, I would go with it. And before you knew it, they were helping me with the story. And that became a big part of my act.
Did they feel sorry for you?
I think part of it might have been, it's like when anybody's trying to think of a word, you want to help them.
Yeah.
And it's not that you feel sorry for them, that you want the conversation to continue, So that really became a big part of my act for me, where the audience, I wouldn't even set it up. I would just leave it hanging, and they would
help you.
Yeah.
By the way, Tom Coughlin says Jason Pierre-Paul could be playing Sunday against Tampa Bay.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Pretty incredible after blowing his fingers off. Did you see the pictures?
No. I can't look at that stuff.
Well, they put it on the front page of the New York Post, I think.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. New York Post. And then on page 6, they put his fingers.
Yeah, well, the New York Post. I could see that where they would, what they put on the cover.
I'm telling you, these athletes are just amazing the way they can recover so quickly, and injuries don't really mean a big thing to them.
Well, you blow off your fingers, still be able to play. I mean, he's not a receiver or quarterback, so.
You even got kickers that don't have feet kicking. You know what I mean?
Well, you had one. That was Tom Dempsey. He had
still,
half a foot.
Half a foot.
Not feet, plural. It'd be kind of hard to be a kicker without feet. Known for Weeds, Saturday Night Live, Just Go With It, Blended. What else are you known for?
Gosh, there's so many I don't have the time right now
You
to go
don't?
through it
Okay.
all.
Well, you know what?
I'm known for being a lot taller in person than most people think. Most people see me, they think, "Wow, you're a lot taller than I thought." Yeah.
Wow.
And I say, you're a lot less observant than I thought. I say, you got to get a bigger TV.
Are you an athlete? Were you an athlete?
I still consider myself an athlete.
Being so tall.
Table tennis mostly.
Yeah.
Now, but
were you rugby, football?
I was rugby, football, and soccer. I played soccer at Sacred Heart University, and I for 3 years, and then I played rugby for 3 years, and I played football at Fairfield University. I was quarterback and kicker and punter for a year. Here's what happened, Dan.
Oh no,
I never played football in high school, but I loved football. I would always emulate the Green Bay Packers because growing up I watched the slow motion stuff in the snow and diving over but I loved it, and I played in my neighborhood with a bunch of my friends, and we had the helmets and the shoulder pads, and we played these gangs across town. that were really rough, and there's no refs or anything, and we'd play in the football field when nobody was there, and I had a pretty good arm. So my friend said, "Hey, we could Bill Brackett, we could try out for Fairfield University. We just have to take one night course to qualify." So we both took a night course in criminology. We went twice, and we played for the whole season for 1 year. And their starting quarterback got hurt, so I got to play like 10 games as a starting quarterback, and got nominated MVP. And I was the kicker and punter. And after that, I went out to L.A. to become a stand-up comic. And I thought, hey, the L.A. Express is out here, USFL football. I think I'm going to try out for a punter, so I'll have like a gimmick as a stand-up. Yeah, he's a comic, but he's also the kicker for the L.A. Express.
That sounds like a movie.
It does.
That's a
movie.
Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah. Not a Kevin Nealon movie.
No.
So what I did, Dan, was I got like 8 footballs, USFL footballs. They're a little bit lighter than NFL, I think. And I would go to Fairfax High, and I would practice kicking every day. And I was about to try out, and then my stand-up started taking off before the tryouts. And I thought, I don't need them anymore. And,
Could you kick?
Yeah. I had a good hang time.
So you were going to be a punter, not a place kicker?
I was going to be the punter, yeah.
So
I was
you
also
and
a good
Steve
kicker.
Young would have been on the LA Express.
Yeah.
He was the quarterback at the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he would have got hurt. I would have taken over for him.
This is like Warren Beatty. This is Heaven
One of my favorite movies. Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Give me the. Is there a sports movie that hasn't been made? When you think that?
Yeah, I think there's a good golf movie. I mean, we have Happy Gilmore and Caddyshack and Tin Cup, but I don't think there's been a good. I always want to write. I wrote a movie once. It'll never get done, but it's called In the Rough, and it was Bill Murray, who's imprisoned. Well, I don't want to tell you the whole thing, but anyway, he's in prison. He's a golfer, and he wants to. He becomes friends with the warden, and the warden agrees to get him out to go golf with him because he's a big golf fan.
Yeah.
And when he's out, he escapes. But I always thought it'd be a good movie.
Did you talk to Bill about this?
No, not a fan. No, I think he would have been great in that. But there hasn't been, I think, a real emotional golf movie that's worked for me. Bagger Vance, I don't think that they cast it right.
Yeah.
But Sean Connery, I thought, would have been great in a film with Billy Connolly, Scottish guy.
Yeah.
Those two guys together, and maybe Bill Murray as the caddy or something. I don't know.
I don't know if Bill would want to do another golf movie after Caddyshack, though.
Oh, was he in that?
Yes, he was.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's another thing I'm never going to do. I have a lot of ideas. I'll never do it. Who's kidding who?
How much do comedians borrow? Like, not actually steal, but I mean, can you
money?
Borrow? No, like a joke.
A joke.
Can you borrow somebody and do your interpretation of a joke?
If you're good friends with them, I don't borrow really. I borrowed one friend's joke, Will Schreiner, for a corporate gig once. It was about working in these big hotels, where they don't have the keys anymore; they have the cards, and some of these hotels are huge where they do these corporate events, and I forget exactly just how it went exactly, but paraphrasing that, I had a few cocktails last night, and boy, I had trouble finding my room. With all this, I was trying every room. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. And finally, I realized I was using my driver's license. Anyway, I forgot how it was worded, but it was something like that.
And you stole that one?
No, I borrowed it.
Oh, you borrowed it.
I said, Will, are you working tonight? Can I borrow that?
Do you write for other guys? Did you ever write for other guys?
Yeah. I've written for other people, or I'll come up with a joke for somebody. I love to help other comics. In fact, I have a show every once a month at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. It's called New Material Night, and I host it. And I have like 4 different comics come up, and they'll do 7 minutes of new material or a little new stuff, and then we sit down together, and we kind of jam back and forth for like 10 minutes and try to come up with more stuff. In fact, Sandler was on last week with me. Larry David's going to be on November 17th with me.
How is he? I didn't think he liked stand-up.
Larry David?
Yeah.
No, I think he loves it. He was one of the first comics I ever saw. I went to Catch a Rising Star in New York City to kind of get a feel for stand-up.
Yeah.
In the scene. And I went to this New York club, and I was from Connecticut, and I rarely went to New York because it intimidated me. And I get into this club, and it's so packed, New Yorkers, and they're all smoking, and there's no room for anybody to move, and the comics are up there. Richard Belzer's hosting, and Larry David was one of the comics, and Larry David I remember this, he would always a heckler would start on him. And you can't see on stage because it's so bright. And he would always call out the heckler out to the street. He wanted to go out in the street and have it out with him. And he couldn't even see how big the guy was.
But was it part of the act, or was he actually,
No,
he was angry?
I don't think it was part of the act, but he would a lot of times not finish his act because he would become impatient with the audience.
Because, see, that's what I thought. He didn't like it because he wasn't comfortable, and if you said something back or it wasn't funny or you didn't react a certain way, he took it personally, it angered him.
Maybe so, yeah. But
anyway, he's
he's
past that now.
I guess he's past that, and I think, it's like we all started out doing stand-up, and I think we all have a certain respect for it and appreciation, and I don't think it ever leaves you. So I think maybe that might be what it is with him.
He's Kevin Nealon. He's the actor-comedian. We've been in movies together.
He's tall.
He's taller than what I thought. He'll be at the Improv in Atlanta November 12th through the 14th. Kev, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, it was my pleasure.
Thank you. that was fake right there.
That was a courtesy acknowledgement. Yeah. Let me try it again.
All right.
Let's try it again.
Kevin, it was great having you, and thank you.
Oh, man, I've always wanted to do this. Let me try one more time. One more time.
All right. Actor-comedian Kevin Nealon, he'll be in Atlanta at the Improv November 12th through the 14th. Thank you, Kevin.
Whatever.
That was real.